Hello and welcome everyone to chapter 2 of my Kerbal stream series. I know I'm starting a bit early this time around, but I just can't get enough of this. So, stream series. Alright, Twitch, shut up, there we go. Let's just get straight into it. I have been playing a separate campaign with this same install pretty much all week. For the longest time, I put off playing in 1.2 just because of all the overhauls that they did. Mainly the wheels, and the graphics are a little weird. But yeah, for the longest time, I put off playing in this version of KSP. I love it so much. So much fun. Flying safe. Good old Scott Manley. So, this time around, as you can probably tell from the title, we are going to the moon. And Minmus. Hopefully, we don't do what I did a couple of days ago in my other save file and run out of fuel on a suborbital trajectory above Minmus. Not good. Alright. Resume saved. Duna or bust. Let's see, where are we at? We are at test heat shield, splashdown carbon, and explore the moon. We just want to orbit. Okay. Anything else that we want? What's this one? She wants to orbit around Kerbin. More orbits. No. Test the poodle engine splashdown on Kerbin. Whatever, it's money. Yep, that'll do for now. So we'll get these testing ones out of the way first. We'll also scroll to next morning. Boy. Alright. So, bog standard capsule. It's always a good idea to remove whatever resources you don't need, like the monoprop. And where's my poodle? There we are. This is going to be interesting, because there we go. That'll do. That'll do, that'll do. That's what we want. I do hope eventually Squad changes these testing contracts, especially the engine testing ones, to require a runtime, like actually use fuel and like actually test the engine. So run it with fuel for a time in specific situations, like a static run test on the launch pad, or a run test at altitude, and at speed. Basically, there's something to make it more realistic. Because it's like, well, I suppose it could be testing the firing system, like the ignition of this particular engine. But it is a bit weird. Alright. So, ditch that. And of course, time to slow it down because falling 500 meters, or rather 700 meters, at 6 meters per second, it takes a long time. And look, there's Aspen stage over there. Oh, yeah. Last time we were here, Jeb kinda lorne darted into the ocean, didn't he? Whoops. Alright. And Carrier Sploosh. Test easy engine. And test the heat shield. Done. Give me the cash monies. There we are, very nice. And we'll just grab that too. So, let's see, what do we have? Not a whole lot. In my other save, I'm several tiers higher than what I currently am. Ooh, I'm very close to be able to upgrade the R&D center, because if I do that, then with the upgraded astronaut complex, which I have yet to do, let's upgrade that. So now, once I upgrade R&D, I will be able to collect surface samples. And with that upgrade that I just did, not only does my active Kerbal list become much bigger, but I can also perform EVAs off-world. Or in space. Hey Shield, nice to see you. Where is Minmus at this time? Whoa. Minmus is right there. That is about perfect. We are going to head to Minmus. Because with its current position, we will have to do a minimal plane change to be able to get in encounter with that tiny little moon. Right. Bog standard instrument package. Like so. Heat shields. I'm gonna give it about yay. Parachute. Do not forget the parachute. There we go. This is a pretty standard lander that I'm building here. Nothing really special about it. Except that I know it can land on Minmus and return. Now, because we're heading out so far, and likely going to be transmitting some science, I want solar panels and batteries. Batteries are a little heavy, but it's better than running out of power. A lot better. And of course a comms antenna. Cool, I think that's our lander. Yep, that is definitely a good lander. Nah, I don't need a fairing for this one, it's pretty aerodynamic. What I will be doing this time around is a little different from what I've done in the past. I'll be doing some asparagus staging. Now bear with me, I will explain what that means. There we are. So basically, asparagus staging is a technique of fuel crossfeed. So currently, each of these three engines has their own set of fuel tanks. So this one and this one will burn from these particular tanks and such, we all know this. If I use a fuel line and go from the outside in, then at the start of the launch, all three engines will be fed by just these 4 outboard tanks. Okay, I'm redecorating the very first house I built in Sims 4. Nice! I've never really played The Sims myself. Found it a little boring. Yes, anyway, this staging, so basically these boosters will feed not only the booster engines but also the central one as well, if I get my staging right. So basically what that affords me is higher thrust on, like, initially, but then once these boosters use up all their fuel, this central stage will still have all of its. And this is actually rather similar to the upcoming Falcon Heavy that SpaceX is going to be testing later on this year. What the Falcon Heavy does that this one doesn't is, rather what this does that the Falcon Heavy doesn't is, it's a full crossfeed system. Alright, so Minmus, there we are, lander. Cool. And Valentina is in it. Cool. So yeah, this rocket feeds all of its outboard fuel to the 3 engines. What Falcon Heavy will do is a partial fuel crossfeed, so all 3 cores will be feeding all 3 engines at some point. I forgot the engineer. We are going to have to stick one of those on. So, Falcon Heavy in the initial launch, it will be draining fuel from all 3 cores, unlike this one, which drains from just the two outboard ones. And basically what that allows is for the boosters to remain attached longer. So as to give higher thrust for longer. So Falcon Heavy, once the boosters detach, the central stage will still have some, but not all, of its total fuel capacity. Which is basically just a long-winded way of saying that Falcon Heavy's strap-on boosters supplement the central core. And on a side note, Falcon Heavy is essentially a Falcon 9 with 2 extra first stages strapped onto the side. As such, on launch, it will have 27 engines on its first stage, firing all at the same time. The last rocket to have anywhere near that many engines on its first stage was the Soviet prototype N1 moon rocket. The N1 was supposed to be, at least, the Soviet answer to the American Saturn V. It was meant to launch an upgraded Soyuz with a lander to the moon. Unfortunately, due to the immense cluster of a total of 30 engines on the first stage, add to that the rather iffy design of the Soviet-built engines, the N1 wasn't so much a rocket as a giant Roman candle. To my knowledge, there was only one launch attempt, and it exploded on the pad quite spectacularly. As I understand it, it was unmanned, meant to be a test, but yeah. 30 engines is a lot to get all firing at not just firing at the same time, but working together in such a way that they all run properly. Because the thing with clustering engines, especially that many engines, is the shockwaves and vibrations caused by the running of so many engines in close proximity can upset the balance in the combustion chambers and lead to what's known as combustion instability. Which, the long and short of it is bang, pretty much. There is a lot of technical stuff that happens during combustion instability, but the long and short of it is the engine no longer runs properly, and there's imbalances of fuel and oxidizer and all that. Essentially, it's backfiring, really. And you can very easily tear the engine apart. The Saturn V rocket, which had 5 engines on its first stage, 5 massive engines, during testing, they would put a small pyrotechnic charge in the combustion chamber, or the engine bell, and set that off during the test to make sure that the engines could handle combustion instability. And they only had to contend with clustering 5 engines together, not 30. The main reason why the N1 had so many engines on its first stage was because the Soviet engineers couldn't really figure out how to get large LFO engines to work properly. In fact, if you look at a lot of Soviet design, like their low Earth orbit spacecraft, such as the Soyuz, for example, its first stage has got 5 clusters of 4 engines. 4 engines on each cluster. And what that essentially... Start again. So, the Soyuz on its first stage has 5 groups of 4 engines. The American equivalent to the Soyuz at that time was the Gemini, I believe Jupiter 2 launch system. The Jupiter 2 missile had 2 engines on its first stage. Well, actually, technically it had 1 that split off into 2 nozzles, but they shared common pumping systems and all that, so technically it was 1 engine. The difference was the Jupiter engines were a lot bigger than the Soviet engines. Missed my maneuver a little bit. And there we go. Stay below it. Let's head to Minimus. Let's see. Can we trim that down anymore? Not really. Right, I don't know what's going on with that one, so we'll just delete it. You have an encounter with this burn. So let's just use this one. We'll trim it down later. Engine clustering is generally a good idea if you can get them to work together. And it's also something that KSP doesn't really do a whole lot with. Unless the player actually like piles on engine after engine onto their designs. There are really only 2 stock clustered engines. And those are the asteroid redirect engines, the cluster of 4 RS-25s and the twin engine liquid booster that came with that pack. Oh, I've missed my maneuver. God damn it, pay attention. This isn't rocket science, you just have to... Anyway. So yeah, KSP engine clustering, unless you're building a really ridiculous rocket, you don't really need clustering. I think I might be boned a bit here. At the very least, I can get this thing into orbit around Minimus. There we go. Okay. So first focus view. Nice and close. There. Then once we get there, a radial burn will bring our perhaps nice and close. Good. So to escape Minmus from the surface and get back to Kerbin, I need at least 300 meters per second delta V remaining. So I've got 1.1 kilometers per second to play with. That should be plenty. Oh, I just realized. Val can now get out. EVA report from high above Kerbin. Just collect that. No point in transmitting it, really. Unless in the future, Squad puts a data cap on that experiment container. That wouldn't be very cricket now, would it? Yeah, in a very high orbit. And there we go. So, let's see. To bring our orbit down, nice and close. I'm not going to bother with an equatorial orbit just yet. So, I'll of course launch into an equatorial orbit. And perhaps it's 3 kilometers. That's a little close. Yeah, we are actually going to impact. So let's just kick that back up a tad, shall we? There we are, 6 kilometers. Now this is actually quite advantageous for me, because in a polar orbit, with enough time, I can get science, because I can overfly every single biome on this body in a polar orbit. And with the rather fast rotation of Minmus, that shouldn't take too long. So, log temperature from high above Minmus. Measuring the temperature of space appears to be quite impossible, as there is no matter around to be either hot or cold, except the spacecraft, and the thermometer itself. This is probably going to give the R&D guys something to think about for a while. I can sort it out from right now. See, there are 3 main types of temperature, or rather thermal transference. Conduction, convection, and radiation. Conduction is through solid objects, such as a metal bar. So, candle at one end, or a spoon in a hot coffee. So, it'll conduct the heat up length of the spoon. Convection is generally through liquids. So, pot boiling water, the bottom is hot, top is cold, the hot will rise, cold will sink. Convection currents. Radiation, basically, the first 2, conduction and convection, need a medium to travel through. That's what that message was talking about. Radiation does not, however, and that's how the sun heats the rest of the solar system. So, basically, infrared light, thermal radiation, is given off by the sun, and it's basically light, just of a slightly lower or a longer wavelength. And when it hits an object, it's absorbed, turned into heat. Pretty simple. Alright, so, yeah, we've heard that one before. I'll save the one-use experiments for low orbit and landed. just because that will basically net me more science. Alright, so I'll actually use the alarm clock for this one. How to maneuver alarm. Flying on in. Thought I shut Telegram down. Alright, so bonus like 11 seconds, we're 50 seconds out and flying over the surface at almost Mach 1. Look, that's a pretty cool view. Minmus, Kerbin, and the Min. All in the same frame. Space is beautiful, is it not? Alright. So I'm going to split this at 5 seconds. So, Tim is 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, burn! And captured orbit. Six by 9, cool. Alright, so run the experiments, log pressure data. Yep, I had that one before. Log temperature. Minimus is cold. Ice cream is cold. Coincidence? You hope not. Shouldn't it be I think not to be a proper Incredibles reference? The goo sticks to the Minimus side of the container. It appears to be attracted to the tiny moon. You wonder if the goo is hungry as well. Keep that data. Observe materials. The high radiation environment causes a few of the... yeah. Cool, that's a stock message. Crew report. You wonder if it's possible to EVA to the surface and back. It is indeed possible to EVA down to the surface, back into orbit, and to Kerbin. All on one charge of EVA fuel. So, let's get on out and do an EVA report over the lowlands and get back in. So basically, now that we're in a polar orbit, I'm going to spin the camera. Basically, now that we're in a polar orbit, we can just cruise around here and watching the biome counter appear on my engineering display, and whenever it changes to a new one, get out, take a crew report, and get back in. Looks like we're coming up on a flat plains area now, and we'll go it slow just in case we get slopes before that. This will take a while, but the amount of science that we will get from it will be immense. Also, you can go anywhere on Minmus just with the EVA pack. If a spaceship fails, you could probably use the jetpack to get back into orbit. Indeed. That's what I was just talking about. So basically, we can land the spacecraft somewhere, and then, if I have enough fuel in it, jet to at least one other place. But then I could use the EVA pack to get surface data from every other place. The only kicker is I'll have to get back to the spacecraft to drop off the reports every time. So back into the lowlands, probably coming up on slopes. Also, I just remembered, where is Planetshine? There it is. So let's see, intensity. Let's see. vacuum ambient light level. There we go. Just brighten that up a bit. Thank you, Planet Shine. Oh, yep, there we go. Slopes. EVA over the slopes. The mesmerizing aquamarine. I can speak, I promise. The mesmerizing aquamarine flats almost make you forget to keep one hand on the ship's handle at all times. It is a very good idea to maintain contact with at least one handhold if you do not have a tether or an EVA pack. Midlands. Yep, same one. I'm going to spin the spacecraft not that way, this way. And how does Val get out? Alright. What if I go this way? Because having to spin the camera around like that every time is a bit annoying. There we go. So now I can just get out and grab the data straight away. Cool. So Minmus is a treasure trove of science. And once we get labs... Ooh, Highlands. Maybe we'll meet a Highlander. The surface seems to be a mixture of rock and ice. You wonder if it could be mined for fuel. Haha. So, as I'm saying, once we get the science lab, I am going to stick a science station in orbit around Minmus, and just... And also, if I can manage it, poles. Yay! You're right. Yep. So if I can manage it, I also want to have a little mining ship that can basically refuel itself. On the surface of Minmus. Because the way the science labs work now is basically you give them science to work with, and they will generate science over a time. It's different from the way it used to work, in that the way Science Lab used to work in 0.23 was you basically they basically allowed you to transmit more science than what you could without a lab, and also to clean the experiments to use again. Now they're much more of an investment. So the way they work now is the more science, like the better science you give them, so science from Minmus as opposed to Kerbin, and the longer you leave them to work on it, the more science you will actually get from them. So sticking a science station in Minmus orbit and giving them a whole bunch of surface science to work with, and leaving them for a few months, will get you so much science. Of course, it also depends on the experience level of the Kerbals that you have manning it, which means pretty much as soon as I unlock the 2.5 meter capsule, I am going to be sending training missions around the Kerbin system. And with the amount of science I'm going to get from this particular escapade, we should be getting those 2.5 meter parts quite soon. We're at the poles again. Jeez, have we We have flown completely around. And yeah. Yep, so there's the poles, Midlands, Highlands. We've seen all this before. Did you get something that we haven't seen before? Ooh, are those flats there? Come on. Please tell me this is a new biome. Still lowlands. Come on. No? Damn it. Ooh, flats. Yes, they're a new biome. Yay! Awesome. Whoa. Keep forgetting that SAS turns off. Alright, so we are about at the equator, but we're not on the sunny side, so we gotta fly around a little more. You have the poles again. You know what? We'll just kick it in the ass right here. Why did I do that? Nowhere. We're nowhere near the equator here. Oh well. We're committed now. The good thing will be that landing here will afford us several biomes within spitting distance. So we've got the flats here. And then probably lowlands and slopes around us. Alright, we are coming in quite fast. That's a much better approach speed. Just reduce the thrust on the engine. There's a really useful trick. Is using the thrust limiter, especially on tiny bodies like this. Basically, it just allows you to resolve more of your thrust and hover much more easily. So, boom, down we go. On this surface, do science. Observe materials. As you open the doors, a sample dashes past to taste the surface. I thought it was the goo that was alive. The goo is erupting into dance. Let's have a party on Minmus. And log pressure data. Yep. Seems people always forget about the barometer when doing these community science messages. The thermometer suddenly reads not applicable. One of the wires must have come loose again. And do a crew report. And collect all of that. Very, very nice. Out we get. Turn on the pack. That looks like she's having the time of her life. EVA report. As far as you can tell, in the low gravity, the ground is firm underfoot and not as slippery as you had expected. And we'll just plant a flag. Minmus Flats. Cool. Now let's just get back in the spacecraft. Drop off this EVA report. And head back to the Space Center to see A, if we have any more Minmus related contracts available, and we have enough to upgrade R&D. Do that. Mission control. Build a surface outpost on Ike. Don't think so. Science data from surface of moon. Cool. And that's it. Rescue from orbit. I hate those. Test the coupler at launch site. Not even worth my time. But there's a bunch of them, so we'll just get them. And cool. They want me to build an outpost on Ike that can hold 9 Kerbals and 6,000 units of fuel. And no, not gonna happen. Alright. So, back to Minmus. So the Minmus lander. Loading, loading, loading. There we go. So, Valentina can now get out again and take a surface sample. You want to get your helmet off and taste the sample. Instead, you pull yourself together and continue with the mission. Yeah. Don't take your helmet off. Especially in a vacuum. So, that's good science from this biome. But what about the biomes over here? Wow, Valentina just loves Minmus, doesn't she? Alright. I do wish the navball pointing vector for the Kerbals matched their facing vector rather than the camera. Alright, let's head up the hill a little ways. Yeah, we got plenty of fuel. And arrest our velocity so we don't smack face first into the mountain. That wouldn't be very badass at all. Turn on the lights because we can. And boots on the ground. Whoop, almost. There we are. Take surface sample from Lowlands. Yay! An EVA report from the Lowlands. You know what? We might as well place a flag here. There we go. Power up the pack again. And head on back to the spacecraft. Now, that's EVA data. We have 2 more instruments that we can get just by flying this little spacecraft over there. Now, the other thing is, orbit is going to be a bitch. Because we are quite low latitude, which means it's going to kick us up into a very high inclination orbit. Which means getting back is going to be a pain in the ass. And rest our velocity. There we are. Cool. So we'll just collect all that up in there. And we'll just fly the spacecraft over there. I do still have plenty of fuel left. Like I said, I need at least 300 meters per second. I've got 830. There we are, we're in the lowlands now. Let's kill all our velocity. Landing a spacecraft on a slope is generally not recommended. But on a tiny body like Minmus, it doesn't usually matter very much unless you've got a very big spacecraft. Because usually the capsule torque is enough to keep you stable. Assuming you touch down nice and slowly. There we go. Whoa. Watch the nav ball, not the spacecraft. And do science. Very nice. So, I've got 29 data entries now. Now, I think we've been here long enough. I could fly over to this flatlands area here. But, yeah, we've been here far too long already. Time to head home. So, we'll just kick it up. Try to uplapse, about yay. And we are missing all hills, which is always good. every time I stream, my neck gives me shit. Don't know why. Wow. We have got a lot of records now. Mm. So yeah, probably off stream, maybe. I'll come back with a lander similar to this and just get all of the orbital science that I can. But yeah, so that's generally how you milk the crap of science out of Minimus. You just put yourself into a polar orbit, get all of the orbital EVA science that you can, and then land and hop around to different biomes. Once we unlock the mining stuff, mainly I'll target the moon for that, but I think I will send a similar mining science vessel to Minmus. Go in orbit. Now the problem is returning because of that. Mm. Most annoying. There we go. So I've got almost 3 times the amount of Delta V I'll need. Yep, and looks like you're gonna get a little bit more science from the lesser flats. 30 data entries. That's a lot of science. A lot of science. The thing is, if I were to stick this in a lab and leave it for 3 months, it would... I'm not exactly sure how much science it would give me, but it would give me a lot. Yep, looks like we got a duplicate. And look, there's our launch site again. Oh no, that's not a launch site. What am I talking about? I could have made a jump over this little spigot of land, but... nah. Alright, we are on course. There we go. And set. So Valentina has currently been in space for 8 days. That's certainly longer than the Apollo missions. Alright, so 7 days, 5 hours, 7 minutes. Got it pretty much exactly right. Right, so yep, there we go. Cool. So basically what I did there is I've got a time to atmosphere timer up here. Basically it just tells me how long until I encounter the atmosphere. So I just stuck a dummy maneuver node at pretty much the exact time. I'm a couple minutes out, and then use that maneuver node to put an alarm clock so that it'll basically stop my time warp when I'm just a few minutes out from atmosphere, which means I'll be in low Kerbin orbit, so I can get another bit of science out of it. An EVA report from around Kerbin. There we go. Still not quite low enough. So yeah, I'll be able to get an EVA report from around Kerbin, and it'll also give me time to prep for the actual return. So there we go. EVA over the deserts. Cool. So we'll just collect all, make sure it's all there. And yeah, all of that's done and dusted now. It's free science, really. Kerbal Engineer is so good because right here it tells me exactly what biome I'm flying above. Alright, a minute and a half out from the atmosphere. Run collect all, make sure it's all there. That's a duplicate, so we can just piss that off. So just confirming nothing left in these. A minute out from the atmosphere. Periapse is 34 kilometers. So I turn SES back on. And ditch. And atmosphere. Now this amount of a bleeder should be enough. But if it's not, we're screwed because I didn't save. There's the Space Center right there. Whoop, things are exploding. These are probably the solar panels. Whoa! That was a fuel tank. Oh boy. Kaboom. Don't know if you guys can hear that, but yeah, the spacecraft is creaking at this point in time. It's the collision effects mod I have. The one that adds in the puff of dust and stuff like that when I land my capsules. Basically, it just makes impacts a whole lot more interesting. You'll see that if I land hard in a space plane or something like that. Yep, stage destroyed. I already knew that. So we are definitely landing on this orbit. That is good. And the blader is about halfway done. Very, very, very nice. I kind of wish re-entry was a separate state than just high in the atmosphere, because this is clearly a very different environment to just flying around high up. Like being able to get the crew's assessment of the situation and a temperature report of all this plasma, that would be amazing. Yep, more destroyed stages. And we are good. So just go ballistic. Are you serious right now? Oh no, we're good. We're in the water. I thought the one bit of land to land on, and we managed to hit it. Oh man, wouldn't it be cool if we made a bullseye in that lake over there? That would be pretty cool. Just bullshit our way into the middle of that lake. I have plopped myself down on the shores of a lake before, but never right smack in the middle of it. And get rid of the heat shield, we don't need it. Sploosh. Is that ground skater in the water? That is. Must be very shallow around here. And sploosh. Now, there is more science that we can get. Ah, this is connecting to shores. Cool. And now we've already got this. Yeah, we already got that. Cool. Cover. How much science did we get? Is it shite loads? Come on. Show me the science. Show me the science. It is shite loads. Almost 1,500 science. And Valentina has advanced to level 2. Very, very, very good. Plant flag on the moon. Cool. Not rescuing a Kerbal from Minimus. That is just not happening. Build a new orbital station around Kerbin. Support 5 Kerbals. Doing that. The awesome thing about the station contracts is that they're procedural. So it's like, at the moment, it's just telling me to launch something that can communicate, generate power, and house 5 Kerbals. Later on, I'll be able to get contracts to upgrade it and add more modules to it. And I want big docking ports. I also want big engines. Little engines are nice as well. Don't need big tanks just yet. Don't need rover parts. Ooh, hello. Guess that's surveying. Yes, doing that, definitely. What else? What else? Yes, solar panels. Give me. And I can get one of these, or... yeah, one of these or one of these. And... cubic octagonal struts, and a probe core. A nice... ooh. Seismometer. Big solar panels. I still don't know what the fly-by-wire avionics hub does. Oh, okay. That's what it does. So basically it gives stability, like SAS, and Kerbernet access in atmospheric flight and suborbital flight. So basically, you can build a survey plane and scan, I assume Kerbin or Leif perhaps, and then fly a plane around and find precisely where the best ore deposits are. That is cool. Not my thing though. Yeah, better plane parts. Yeah, why not? We'll get better plane parts. And that's it. That's all the science I can get. Nice! Very, 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 very nice. So, current contracts, basically, well, a bunch of testing. I can get that done right now. So, orbit the moon, plant flag on the moon, and science from surface of the moon. Cool. And then building a station around Kerbin. Very, very nice. Let's get these testing contracts out of the way though, so it'll free up something. So what does it want me to test? It wants me to test the spark, the ant, and the stack decoupler. Okay. So, ant, sparky, and the TR-18A, that one. Cool. Launch. Test. Test. Done. Cool. Wait, 100? No, I need 160 science. Right. What else do you want from me? I ain't testing the skipper on the moon. That's just not happening. What's this? Ooh, that's a very nice orbit, actually. What about these temperature scans? They're high or low? Because if they're all low, then I'll get that. Let's see. Temperature surveys. Nope, they're all above. Screw that. Let's see, what do you want? Very nice. How much is a new scientist Kerbal? Hmm. Well, that's interesting. Pilots have a higher G tolerance. Hmm. Either of these Kerbals that need rescuing scientists, or rather, yeah, scientists. Does it even tell me? No, it doesn't tell me. I ain't rolling that dice, because likely they're going to be pilots, considering they're going to be inside a capsule. So, let's see. Stelly or Endon? I'm going to get Endon just because his name is similar to Emden, as in the what was it? Shit. There was a German warship in World War One. Really awesome story. Check it out if you don't know it. The yeah, the German cruiser Emden. I forget what the like equivalent to USS or um yeah. So let's first build us. Ow, a new neck would be nice. Uh, a station around the, or rather, yeah, station around Kerbin. So, do I not have any RCS tanks at all? Oh no, I do. I've got this one. So, yeah, give it a bit more than that, because this little thing is going to have to return by RCS. Don't need anywhere near that much a blader. And I'm also going to do up the parachutes because I can. Spread at 10 degrees because that's how you roll. There we go. And docking port. Don't as yet have a shielded one, but that shouldn't be too bad. There we are. Tiny little thing. I only have this decoupler. That's interesting. Yeah, so just like that. Cool. Now things get interesting. Kurukan holds how much? You hold 4. So that's 1. Well, actually, yeah. So this will count towards this until I decouple it. So the actual station that I'm going to leave in orbit is going to be smaller than what the contract requires of me. It's It's also not going to have a whole lot of control as yet. Let's change that. Let's just put cheap ass little probe core in there. Just like so. And electrical. Kind of plenty of batteries. And use the lights on to highlight duct put because I am stickler for detail like that. Cool. Now I can use these to mount yet more docking ports. And hide them away like so. So basically docking node there. And let's layer the outside of this with solar panels. Very, very, very nice. I want that one. Turn off the shroud just to be on the safe side. And there. Nice. Come on. Give me an interstage. Fine. It's obviously out too far still. Build fairing. Close fairing. Very nice. So, up the ejection force. Clamshell deploy on. Because that's cool like that. Awesome. So, that is the orbital portion of my station. It is really tiny at this point. Also, need to stick a reaction wheel in here somewhere. There. Cool. So that is orbital portion. Now for the launch portion. Should I use the skipper or the poodle? I'll use the poodle for now. So basically what I'm going to be building out here is standard medium launcher that I use in pretty much every single career mode that I ever play. It's going to be based on the Saturn 1B. Everyone knows about Saturn 5. Launchment to the moon and all that, yada yada. Who, though, remembers the Saturn 1B that not only launched a lot of the Earth orbit tests of the Apollo hardware, but also transported the crew to and from Skylab. It didn't launch Skylab, but it did service it. Essentially, it launched the same upper stage as the Saturn V, but its first stage, as you can see here, was basically built out of a cluster of redstone rocket fuel tanks around a Jupiter rocket tank. Engines were slightly different, but essentially NASA just found some old leftover hardware from the Mercury program and retrofitted it to use in the Apollo program. And as you can see here, this is an example of engine clustering. So I've got 4 big reliant engines to provide me thrust, and 3 swivel engines to provide me with control. And I'm getting hungry. Also going to slap on a bunch of fins on this thing, because atmospheric control is very important to me. There we go. And this thing will have plenty of delta V to put it in whatever Kerbin orbit I want. I could probably even expand this launcher to be able to launch a moon mission, which would be fairly nice indeed. So, that's bugging me. That is bugging me. Why is it like that? Come on. Offset the part. The textures placed differently at each point. They must be. Why else would they be at different offsets? Ah, that bugs me. Alright, so Station 1. Very name. Let's bring Bill, you're going in the storage container, the lander can or whatever. And Endon, you are coming in the capsule, which means you're coming home. So, Bill's just gonna chill up there by himself for a while. Whereas Bob and Endon are gonna... This is basically gonna be a training flight for them, so I'm gonna get them to do as much as possible. Because everything a Kerbal does, when they do it for the first time, nets them experience. So, aim camera at the capsule. Just put the engineer away for a little bit. So, Endon, out you get. And no point in doing EVA reports and whatever. I just want you to EVA. And Bob, out you get too. Cool. Might as well give Bill a chance to step outside as well. 19 meters tall. This is a pretty big rocket. Alright, let's engineer. Out you get. And we'll stick it there. And don't need the alarm clock up just now. So 3, 2, 1, launch! Yeah! This is, as yet, the biggest rocket I have built in this stream series. Yay me! And she's wobbly. Great. And because I can't revert, I'm just gonna have to deal with a wobbly rocket. Fantastic! I hate wobbly rockets. They're wobbly. Wobbly. No. I hate wobbly rockets. If I could go control from here, near the center of mass, that would be so much easier. Because the problem with a wobbly rocket like this is, because the command point is moving one way, but the control surfaces are moving in a different direction. It's like, if the capsule moves this way, it's like, the capsule detects a turn to the west. So it tries to affect a turn east to counteract that. Unfortunately, basically, it ends up being that the wobbles magnify each other. We are blazing out of the atmosphere way too fast. it also makes it really difficult to control. And in older versions of the game, wobbles like this would make SAS effectively useless. Because in previous versions, SAS wouldn't affect very well if the spacecraft was still under accelerations. It still can't handle, like, it doesn't utilize the entire control range as much as it probably ought to. Whoa, yeah, very fast. Coming up very steep. Oh, that's why we're wobbling. We're wobbling because we got a docking port onto the coupler. Ah, stupid! I know. Just talk. Yay! Now there is a tiny reaction wheel still in there, but he's tiny, so he much less wobbles. Very, very nice. Alright, throttle up again. And it's Miko. Let's fire up this poodle. Now, we are barely affecting 1 g of acceleration at this time, but time to apoapse is going down slowly. Apoapse is still rising, 70 kilometers, there we go. So, now we can just burn. And if we're lucky, we might get a single burn to orbit, which would be very nice. And on future versions, I'm going to stick some struts in there. Alright. This is because I went too fast low down. It's like at one point we were accelerating at 2 Gs. That's far too fast. Alright. And time to apoapse is increasing. Very nice. Very, very nice indeed. Now, I want to put this thing into a 120 kilometer orbit. Which means... there we go, single burn to orbit. Straight into a home and transfer orbit. 140 kilometers it'll do. So that was pretty much a perfect launch profile. Because it's like, until now, until we're coasting to our secularization, there was no coasting. It's like, from launch to cutoff, there was no coast and we got into a stable orbit. That does usually require going up a bit steeper, so a single burn to orbit isn't quite as efficient as some other profiles that you can take, but it's better than some. Let's not time accelerate through our maneuver node. And you guys probably can't hear it, but RCS does have sound now, which is excellent. It was always a bit weird that RCS was completely silent. fairing away, decouple, and we're on internal fuel. Very nice. Very, very nice orbit indeed. Yay! Friggin' hell. I missed one bit of that contract. I don't yet have an antenna. Screw me. Should have checked it. Alright. Not the end of the world. Not the end of the world by a long shot. So let's just decouple that. Set that as target. Get rid of all that. There we go. Yep, wrong button. Alright. Docking alignment. Nope, that's alarm clock. Control from here. Docking alignment. There we go. So, let's see. Right, so this basically means I'm going to have to launch another payload up that includes an antenna, and also include more habitation. There we go. I love this mod. The Navyfish docking UI. It's fantastic. And in this latest version, it's got settings. So you can, mainly, the one I'm interested in is the invert axis. Because stock, the pitch, like the rotation axis, this orange indicator here, the pitch axis is a bit backwards. It's like, if it's down here, you have to pitch down. It doesn't make sense to my brain very much. It's like, to me, if the indicator is down, that means I have to pull up. It's like, on the nav ball here, it's weird. My brain works weird. Is basically what I'm saying here. Okay, so this is pseudo station. We can leave these guys up here for a while. No new contracts. Okay. I'm gonna take a quick break, get some food, relax my neck a bit, and then we will come back and fix our station, and then continue on with all the rest of it. So, be right back. Alright, back in the saddle. Peanut butter toast is delicious. So, I think I'm going to launch a lab this time, because that'll fill out my, basically my accommodation roster, and it'll also allow me to start working science. Now I'm going to give it an extended prow of sorts here, just because the available docking ports on the station currently are a little close, let's say. Plenty of RCS, because this thing's going to be docking under its own power. And then need to balance it out that side. And yes, and don't need to give it too many solar panels. We'll give it some more batteries though, and the thing that we forgot the first time, and what we actually need now, antennas. There we go. And of course, can't dock without RCS. Nice. And of course, got to remember, stick docking port on the bottom, so we can extend even more if we have to. And what we also forgot last time, struts. Need more struts. Those RCS blocks are in completely the wrong position. There we go. It's a bit better. A nice big aeroshell. There we go, and wow, this is actually lighter than the core that we just launched. Very nice. So, Station 1 Lab. There we go. Space, there we go. Cool. Peanut butter was probably not the best choice for something to eat on stream. So I'm gonna watch my electric charge here. There we go. And there we are. Hey, I don't have an Apple apps here. Squad, I have a bug to report, and I forgot the engineering again. Oh well, let's go. I don't need the engineering during launch. It's just nice to have. Mainly because it gives me all the orbital parameters and delta V calculations that I need right here on the main screen. So it means I can stay in this view, and you all can look at the rockets and all the readouts if you want. And I'm not having to switch back and forth between this and the map view, which is what I'm going to have to do this time. So at this point in the last launch, we are like maybe 200 meters per second faster than what we currently are. So essentially we were just blasting through max Q at far too high a velocity. This time, we're barely supersonic at this time. And time to apoapse is awesome. Inclination is iffy. It seems like the nav ball is a bit out of sync or something. Like it's not calibrated properly. Because it's like my inclination is my track is changing north to south even when I put my Pippa on the 90 degrees vector, which is where I want to go. It's as if my pointing vector isn't actually aligned with where the rocket's going. Where it's pointing, rather. So I'm going to have to go into a lower orbit, because I'm coming up behind him. So at this time, we're at 60 kilometers-ish. Can deploy that fairing. Coming up on Miko. Miko. Stage set. Stage 2 firing. Let's head into orbit. So I need to burn a little bit north to decrease my inclination. I want to get a bit closer to the node, though. There we go, 0 degrees inclination. There we are. Maybe I can trim this down and get a better close approach. Wow. .3 kilometers. It's pretty good. I apologize. Peanut butter was not the correct choice for something to eat on stream. Yep, there's the target right there. Now let's just switch back to orbital at this point. Because because it was still quite far out. We'll only switch the target relative for terminal guidance. There we go. What's our approach look like? Yeah, we'll just work with that. Alright, now we can switch the target. And I'm gonna burn off axis and push. There we go. Like that. And that didn't do squat. In fact, that made the kind of worse. Which basically means we're still too far out, and the curvature of our orbit is pulling us apart. So if I accelerate towards him, yeah, there we go. 0.7 kilometers. 0.8, 7. That'll do. 700 meters is still pretty good. Of course, we need to about face so we can nullify our velocity before we fly by. Nice. Within 100 meters, I'm going to be coming in now. And we're going to be docking in the night. Great. Huh. No. No! I've got no control! Ah, no. Right. Damn it. Come on. There we go. Now I have control. Let's just ditch that. Hit sideways from it. And basically, handbrake turn around it. We have plenty of RCS. I did not count on not having having a connection. So it says pocket side on here. There we go. Set as target. Control from here. And bring up the docking UI again. Speeding roundy. Come on. Point that way. Okay. Ease it on over. Cool. Now we're pointing in the right direction. Let's get moving in the right direction. Switch to fine controls. And I'm going to rotate it there. No, don't. You'll be wandering around on me. Basically, this is like playing a piano. Because I've got hands on translation and rotation, and I'm just making it worse. Alright. There. Move in. 6.6 meters out. Moving in at 0.14 meters per second. We are all lined up. It's all very nice and peachy. Terminal guidance is good. Rotation is a little off. Let's just correct that. There we go. So the translate off center a bit. Damn it, my neck. We got 1.7 meters out. Soft dock and hard dock. There we go. Very nice. Now we have our lab and an antenna. And there's our contract completed. It's a pretty good station, if I do say so myself. So let's just undock from that. Move away from the station. Now let's see. This is time to accelerate to about here. Now, if I can get my rotation correct, deorbit. This is going to take forever. I'm not sure if we have enough fuel for this. I may have made a horrible error. Again. All I need to do is get it inside the atmosphere. There's a bit of debris floating around this station. Could make the approach a little treacherous. I'm gonna have to play finger yoga. So once my deorbit is set, I'm gonna get these guys out so they can have a look around. Ah yeah, we're peachy. It's like, yeah, we would have barely cracked into the capsule zone RCS fuel at this time, let alone the rest of it. Alright. This is a very long deorbit burn. Although not quite as long as the Soyuz standard deorbit burn. When the Soyuz capsule returns from ISS, its deorbit burn is about 4 minutes long and about 10% thrust. You really take it easy. 34, 33, 32, 31, 30. That'll do. Right. That's us. Bob, how's it get? Didn't mean to hit that one. Oh well. And then, what say you? You're still over the shores. Okay. Wow. This guy seems to really like space. Still over the shores. Orbited debris. That's from, like, one of my first ships. Jeez. EV report from over the water. Yeah. It's a pretty tiny spacecraft, really, that we've got here. Still only 13 kilometers away from the station. And in we get. So let's see. Huh. So, these two are both scientists, so they've got grey striped helmets. Valentina's a pilot, so she's got red striped. Does that? Yeah, so red stripe. And then Bob is red stripe, damn it. So their IVA suits are occupation dependent, but their EVA suits are all the same. Damn. Because that would be nice if it's like Kobolds on EVA rather could be told apart. Like scientists have different uniforms than pilots and engineers and such. Whee! Where's the atmosphere? There's the atmosphere. So with the way I've placed the parachutes, we should be able to do an SAS-less descent while being angled. Let's see. How does the capsule sit in the air? Come on. Bring the torque back up. There we go. So, yeah, it doesn't really do a whole lot. And really, the capsule angling doesn't really help at all anyway. Spinning a bit fast there. station's got quite a bit of space inside that capsule. It's like they can hang out in here, like probably all three of them, if they take the helmets off. Great balls of fire. I make that joke way too often. Or reference, rather. So we should be landing in the water. Yep. Very nice. Still have 108 ablator left. Deploy chutes. There we go. And sploosh. Very good. Did either of these guys level up? Yep, they both advanced to level 1. Very nice. Let's see. Science stuff from Service of Minimus. Cool. How's that orbit? Okay. So now we've got to get a lander to the moon. I think I know how I'm going to do this. I'm going to use this rocket to do it. Or maybe a version of this rocket. So, I'm going to do something similar to the Apollo launches, but not quite. Alright, come on. Work with me here. Alright. So, I'm gonna have a 2-stage lander, which means fuel in excess. Yeah. Now, switch body reference to the min. 3.1, well, 3.01 thrust to weight. That is awesome. Let's now also add RCS for docking and a docking port, as well as comms gear. There we go. and also give it a backup probe core. And of course, power. Do need a lot of power, just a bit. Move that antenna. Come on. There we go. So how are we doing? OCS is a little unbalanced. There we go. So, that is the return stage. All this has to do is get into Muna orbit. That's all it has to do. I don't yet have tiny decouplers. That's right. You can use a tiny separator instead. Now, the landing stage is going to require a bit more fuel than that. Like so. Let's just turn the shroud off. There we go. And of course, descent engine. Nope. There. It's gonna be a bit weird. I can make it a little less weird by going like that. There we are. And landing gear. Cool. So this will be able to touch down on the moon. Now we need science. Yeah, because, wait, how much do each of these weigh? It's okay. Eh. That's not gonna work. Gotta give that engine clearance. I can't tell if I'm giving it that from here. Yep, it's all good. So, God damn it, landers are hard. Right. Bring that nice and wide. There. That's what we're doing. Cool. So this will give me all of the signs I ever need. So high, low, and landed, and also these instruments here. Cool. Very, very nice. Put an engineering thing on somewhere. There. Right. So, this is our lander. This cannot get there on its own, however. Turn off that shroud because this is going to create problems. Strut this out. I'm going to make this my injection stage. In fact, save this as a subassembly. So, medium launcher. Done. Cool. So I'm going to extend this out to be my orbital, or rather translunar injection stage. So that means bigger fuel tank here. Poodle engine there. And I'm also going to extend this first stage out with more tanks. So this is going to be a very big rocket. Let's just see if the engine design that I want will work with 6 engines. And of course my staging is all banjaxed. Huh? The hell? What's that then? Oh. Got 2 poodle engines in there. That's not good. So that, and that, then that, and that, and that. Cool! So, switch back to Kerbin atmospheric. Do I still have the thrust to mass ratio that I want on launch? No, I do not. That's easily fixed. Changing this from a 6 to an 8 stack. This is apparently too big. Too much mass for the launch pad, as it currently is. I'll fix that. And just mass is enough. Or rather, thrust to weight enough. What if I only extend it by half? So, swivel. There we go. And then 6 reliance. That's better. Much better thrust to weight. Now to make strutting easier. Well, strutting and all the rest of it. So we can really get in here. Because if I don't strut these, they will be extremely floppy. Extremely difficult to control. There we go. We mass 4 tons more than the launch pad can handle. Alright. Not a disaster. Just means I have to upgrade it again. Now almost 5 tons more. Alright. Clamshell on. Very nice. Moon lander. Alright. How much is it going to cost me to upgrade the launch pad to a tier 3? Me. Not bad. Alright. Moonlander. We'll keep it unmanned for now. Alright. Oh boy. So this thing's basically designed to wait in low carbon orbit for the crew. Then I'll refill this second stage with whatever fuel's left over from the crew launch. Then it'll be my translunar injection, circularization and all that. And it'll all be fine and dandy. Now this thing has a lot of delta V. It's like, if I loaded this thing with the lighter payload, I could send this thing to Duna, probably. Yep, we're going up a little flat, a little flat. Let's just hold this pitch for now. One minute left in this stage. It's going to be a little more than that because we're going to keep throttling down. That really is the key to doing an efficient launch, is not going too hard too fast. Because if you go too fast, too low in the atmosphere, your atmospheric losses are immense. 40 seconds. Basically, you're trying to power through drag that you don't need to. $18 seconds. $10 seconds. Miko. Stage set. Stage firing. We're high enough. Deploy the fairing. Very nice. Very nice. And let's just turn torque off there. So just this stage alone has like over 2.5 kilometers per second of delta V. Now, of course, that's not indicative of what we're going to have for our transmitter injection, because we're going to have to hang a whole lot of spacecraft off the front of this thing. And 100 kilometers. Circularize. Damn it. We lost control again. At least we're pointing in about the right direction. Wait a minute. Yeah, that's what I thought. I was a little confused because we didn't have any connection to any of the ground stations. because I thought they had more coverage than they actually do. There we go. That is us in space. Nice and stable in 100 by 100 kilometer orbit. Wow. How did I do that? Eccentricity is 0.00006. That is about as bloody perfect as you can possibly get. Wow. Ow. Now, the next problem is I'm starting to get a little tired here. So I think I'll build the crew capsule that we're going to take to the moon, but I won't launch it just now. I'll save that for the next stream. So yeah, this is big honking heavy launcher. I don't need anything near that big for this, because this next launcher just needs to launch this little crew can into low carbon orbit. So I don't need anywhere near that much of a bladder. Actually, I'll give it some insurance. I really don't need a whole lot on this thing, because basically all this one's gonna have to do is the injection back to carbon. So let's cap off that decoupler. Give it a halfway decent amount of fuel. .500 meters per second. That's not enough, I don't think. We shall see. You know what, how much do I get for this thing? 1.6 kilometers per second? I do not need that much. And again, still don't have shielded docking ports. It doesn't matter. Parachutes are a very good thing to have, especially if you don't plan on crashing. And also give it comms gear. Also a relay antenna, because well, I'm gonna be landing that lander with 2 scientists on it. Valentina's going to stay up here in the command pod. So I want this thing in orbit being able to bounce a signal from Kerbin. Now, I don't need any science on this. I do need an engineering computer though. That's all fine and dandy. Yep, it's all good. I just need RCS. Now I can unload some of this. 800 meters per second is much more reasonable amount of fuel. There we go. So this is our command service module. Cool. Now to mate it to our medium launcher. Give it a good interstage. There we go. Staging is all banjaxed again. There. So, basically I'll be refilling the lander's transfer stage with whatever's left in this, once I get it up there. Until then, let's moon CSM. Cool. I think that is a good place to leave this stream. So, yeah, thanks to everyone who's stuck around while watching this on the export. I'm having fun with this series so far. It's like, and unlike other series that I've done in the past, I think I can actually make this one to completion. Like, get a Kerbal onto Duna. Speaking of which, I should actually set up a transfer window to Duna so that I know exactly how long I have. 205 days till Duna transfer window. So yeah, I'll see you all next week. I do try to stream every, well, Sunday for me, Saturday for most other people probably. All schedules and links and stuff are down below the stream there. I post alerts on Twitch, not Twitch, rather Twitter, and also Facebook. And every stream that I ever do gets exported over to my YouTube channel within the week. So check all that out. Just looking forward to seeing you guys here next week. Let's hope we don't kill too many Kerbals. And yeah. See you later. That's like the 5th time I've said that. I really need to come up with a proper outro. Has that been casting shadows on my face the entire time? God damn it. Anyway.